Hey, welcome to week 3 in our series called Living the Good Life. I hope your connection group has been a really safe place for you to have some good conversations, because this one's about to get good. If you're new to your group or have missed any weeks, we are walking through the Beatitudes that Jesus mentions in Matthew chapter 5, right in the middle of his most significant teaching, the Sermon on the Mount. So let's jump right into what we're discussing. It says this in Matthew chapter 5, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the humble, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs." John took the first 2 weeks and he hit "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs," and "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." And the way I read both of those first two is it seems like they're promises from God for people who have found themselves in certain situations. Like take "Blessed are the poor in spirit," for example. That's not something anyone chooses. Now, of course, the natural consequences of your choices in life can lead you to being poor in spirit, but it's still circumstantial. You found yourself in a position or a situation where you're poor and lonely and vulnerable. John mentioned the Anawim, or the throwaway people, that Jesus is referring to here. He's saying to these people, take heart in your situation, because the kingdom of heaven is still yours despite the circumstances you may find yourself in. Same with the next one, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." That's situational, the kind of thing we experience with the death of a loved one or a family member or a friend, when we go through a life-changing tragedy, when we witness or even experience a deep injustice in our own world or in our life. And it certainly refers to our own personal choices that you look back on or realize a moment may have caused a lot of pain in your life or affected other people, and you feel that separation from God. But be encouraged, because there's a comfort that is both now and also not yet for you. But this one seems different to me. And this one, I think it's because it sounds like a posture, like an attitude, like a heart issue. It says this, "Blessed are the humble, for they will inherit the earth." Another version actually translates, "Blessed are the meek." And I don't know about you, but when I hear words like humble and especially meek, if I'm really honest, I'm not sure that those are things that I want to be. They definitely aren't what the world tells us to be. And they certainly aren't what I would naturally think of when I think of success or this good life. When I think of meek, I think of nervous, shy, wimpy, powerless, small, submissive, quiet, and really quite weak. And I don't want that. And I don't think you want that. And if that's who I'm supposed to be, well then man, Jesus has his work cut out for him to transform my heart. But when I started researching and looking into what the Bible describes as meek, it specifically mentions 2 people, Moses and Jesus. And that's not how I would describe either one of them. In fact, it's pretty far from it. So where have we gone wrong? Well, turns out we got our definition wrong. Turns out the word we are looking for here, it doesn't actually exist in the English language. It's an attitude, a posture, for which there's no single word available. The Hebrew word is actually anav, and it actually defies translation. And anav, it's the furthest thing from weakness. The Hebrew word here actually describes the person who obediently accepts God's guidance, who with humility accepts whatever God has for them. It's the person who is surrendered to God's will in their life. It describes the person who accepts that God is sovereign and never grows bitter or angry about the things that happen to them or around them. It's certainly that God's way really is the best way, and that God really is always working all things together for good. Now that I can get behind. But here's the problem. Humility, meekness, anav, it's not a behavior. It's a heart issue. And I think that if we're honest, most of us, myself included, know the language of humility. We've modified our behavior, our words, our postures to appear humble, but our hearts aren't humble. And for some, my favorite way to describe it, it's called the humble brag, where you've learned to say just the right thing, to brag about your accomplishments, but still sound modest. It's the selfie you take when feeding the homeless with the hashtag blessed to be a blessing, or the I can't believe I got all the way to work without realizing I was wearing my daughter's jeans. My coworkers now refer to me as the crazy lady who can fit into her teenager's jeans. And church people, well, we know how to do it the best. We attach the word blessed to something, and now suddenly we sound really humble. Like taking the new boat out this weekend, we sure are blessed. For some reason, or for some people, it's the name drop, where being associated with someone or something makes you feel more important. So you want to make sure people know who you know. That party you were invited to, the group vacation you were a part of, the casual mention of who you were hanging out with last week or who you had lunch with. All meant to elevate our worth. All meant to show people that we have value. All meant to talk the language of humility, but really trying to get people to see us, to value us. And Jesus is going, no, not like that. In fact, the Message version of this verse says it like this: you're blessed when you're content with just who you are. No more, no less. That's the moment you find yourselves proud owners of everything that can't be bought. Blessed are the meek, the humble, the anah, for they shall inherit the earth. And maybe it should say, blessed are those who trust God completely, for they know that this world is not their home. You want to raise your stock? You want to live this blessed life, this good life? Jesus said it's simple. Give me your trust. Give me your obedience. Give me your submission. Trust that my way really is the best way, and your inheritance, well, it's eternity. And I hope you have a great discussion today in your group. This conversation in particular is going to literally ask you to practice what we just preached. Because you can sit in your circles and in these living rooms and in these conversations, and you can talk the language of humility, you can talk the language of pride, or you can be honest about the state of your heart. This is one of those weeks where the Sunday school answer just isn't going to cut it. And I think a lot of people think following Jesus in submission or even humility are these terrible words that force you to be weak and quiet and lose who you are. And that keeps people from submitting their lives and their hearts to his calling. But when you surrender your life, when you trust that his way really is the best way, when you are able to accept what comes into your life, knowing that God is in control, when you can accept that he made you with a purpose in mind that's unique to you, when you can trust and obey and submit your life to Jesus, that's when you're blessed. That's when you're able to really live the good life.